Alright, so Ragnarok chapter 103 and Apocalypse of the Gods chapter number 12. We're going to cover both previews and I'll give you guys some of my thoughts on what I think is going to take place. But before that, as always, make sure you subscribe if you like the content and drop a like so you're more likely to be recommended to the channel again. Also, shout out to the members. Let's go. So we'll first start off with what you guys probably already know if you watch my breakdowns, because I covered it at the end of the Ragnarok chapter 102 breakdown that if you missed, you can still go check out. At the end of the chapter, we saw Loki seemingly get shot with the kill shot from Simo when he sacrificed his liver to hit the shot that went right through Loki's skull wall and then through his skull, through his head. Looks like it finished off Loki. That is the cliffhanger for the chapter, but the preview states, in a shocking twist, audiences are left reeling. The past of Loki, the most deceitful god in the heavens, is revealed. Now, this obviously means we're going to be getting Loki's backstory chapter, but it also pretty much confirms that Loki survived this in some way, shape, or form. Now, the shocking twist may very well be just the shot hitting Loki, but I could also see the shocking twist being whatever the reveal is on how Loki actually survived said shot. Now, I've seen some people commenting that they think Loki might be the squirrel that he picked up earlier in the fight. Some think that he was never actually even in the arena. All these people are giving theories. Regardless, I think it's obvious that Loki being hyped up as the most deceitful, being hyped up as one of the smartest, most cunning, calculated gods, is not going to die to the first shot that looks like it hits him. Also, it was very clear that Loki could react to the attack as he summoned 3 more actual clones of previous gods and then summoned a whole wall before the bullet actually reached him. So speed was never an issue. If he could do that, he could definitely get himself out of harm's way. And rereading the chapter, it looks like Loki clearly notices the fact that the bullet is piercing the wall. So I do think that he had plenty of time to react when he noticed that, assuming he was even still positioned behind the wall when it pierced it. If you go back and look at it, his whole mission at that point was trying to figure out where Simo was shooting from. That's the whole reason. He was trying to watch for the trajectory more than he was even watching the bullet. He wasn't worried about the bullet at all. So I do think that next chapter he'll have pinned down where Simo is, and maybe we'll get the first actual hand-to-hand encounter when we actually do get back to the main fight. Now, this whole chapter may very well be the backstory, but I'm pretty confident in the fact that I do think that Loki got away from this. The question that I have is, well, what are we going to be getting in this backstory? Because I actually think that this could be one of the most interesting backstories we get in the series, because there's so much we'd love to know about Loki. I think the biggest thing that they must cover is why he's in love with Hilda, maybe how they first met, maybe why he has so much admiration for her, because that's a big plot thing right now that needs to be addressed. Why does he have these feelings for her? I think that if the authors land a great backstory detailing why he loves her, it might actually garner him some sympathy. It may make him more of a fan favorite character, and it could make this fight even all the greater if there's actually some stakes and people start to feel bad for Loki. Now, some people just hate Loki, it is what it is, but I think he's a pretty cool character. I think he's pretty strong, and I'm interested to see what the backstory behind this infatuation truly is. We could also get further details into the relationship he has with Thor and Odin, and maybe some potential hints on if he understands Odin's true plan about the primordials, if he understands that a primordial is effectively within Odin's body. All this is going to be super intriguing to see play out, and I honestly can't wait for this backstory chapter. I think that we're going to get a lot of details integral to the plot going forward. Moving on to Apocalypse of the Gods. At the end of the chapter, we saw that Indra was on his way to the arena, but before he could reach it, he got jumped by Suzaku's men. Now, this group is comprised of 4 gods, with Suzaku himself being the leader. We have White Tiger, Black Tortoise, Azura Dragon, and of course Suzaku himself, the Vermilion Bird. The 2 people we see fighting Indra are Black Tortoise and White Tiger. No information about the whereabouts of Azura Dragon as of now, and that could be part of the plan, as he might be used as a backup in case these 2 lose. And it actually would make some sense if he was further down the hallway, because the plan here seems to be to stall out Indra so he can't make it to the arena on time. Therefore, Suzaku would just be declared the winner by default, as Yar proclaimed this chapter. So I don't know if they actually want to defeat him outright or if they just want to stall him. Regardless, it would make some sense if Qinlong Azura Dragon is just waiting further down. He also could just be in the shadows, waiting to strike at an opportune moment. Now, what I will say is that some people believe that we're just going to cut back to the arena with Indra dragging the bodies out, walking out, and that could very well be the case. But the way that it is framed at the end of the chapter, they say side fight begins, And with this preview, it kind of leads me to believe that we might actually just see this fight play out. The preview states, in the third match of the Apocalypse, Indra was suddenly brought into a tumultuous out-of-field battle. Now, it doesn't seem to me like they're going to just try to job out White Tiger and Black Tortoise. It seems like they may very well show us the full fight between these guys. I'm down for that. I do think that Indra wins against those guys. Even if the third guy does show up, I do think that eventually he wins and he will get to the arena to confront Suzaku. The big question is, can he overcome all that adversity and still defeat Suzaku? And I don't think that this makes Suzaku look the greatest, because obviously Indra will be extremely weakened by the time he gets there, unless of course he does no diff them and just walk out there, which is still a viable possibility. Just I don't think that that's necessarily going to happen. But I wouldn't be surprised if Suzaku does win this fight because of this, and that is kind of the way of making Indra look strong in defeat. I personally would think that it'd be super epic if Indra was to just run the gauntlet and beat all of them, because this is kind of a gimmick where it's like, if Suzaku needed all this help to beat Indra, how is he going to fare in the next round? Like, people are going to understand if Indra gets there beaten up that there's nefarious tactics at play. Now maybe Suzaku has more plans he can draw from for more nefarious deeds, but it could get played out if this continues throughout. Now, what I will also say is I do think that at the end of this, people will understand why Suzaku's doing what he's doing, because they already hyped up the fact that there's a real reason why Suzaku wants to do this, like that he has a strong ambition for something to be added to the provisions of the Constitution of Valhalla. So there's something he's fighting for that means a lot to him. So it makes sense why he'd be willing to do anything to win. And I think that once that gets revealed, Suzaku is not necessarily going to be seen as a bad guy per se. I can see it being a bait and switch where it's like, oh, he's fighting for a pretty valid reason. He's just willing to do whatever to achieve it. Could be completely wrong on that, but that's just the vibe I'm catching from Suzaku. He didn't seem like he was evil to me in the build-up. Seemed like he was just smart and he was a very observant person. So I do think that there's a lot more to Suzaku than we see right now on the surface. There is also some build-up potentially for a Morrigan versus Suzaku fight, as Morrigan did confront Suzaku's group after the Kukulin versus Ra fight. Morrigan is fighting Neza in the round after this, meaning if she was to win and Suzaku was to win, they would have a clash. Maybe a coincidence, maybe not. On the other hand, though, you have Shiva, who's being very prominently featured with extreme confidence in Indra's abilities, and it seems like they are potentially trying to hype up Indra as being somebody that might even be a rival to Shiva within that pantheon. It wouldn't necessarily be the greatest look if he was to lose and get bounced from the tournament in one round, even if he has to run this gauntlet. So that kind of lays out how unpredictable this round really is. Both sides have compelling cases to win this fight, and without a doubt, my interest has been piqued. I can't wait to see how this all plays out. Let me know your thoughts, though, on how you think this is all going to play out. Both Loki's backstory and the start of round 3 in the Apocalypse tournament. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Check out these videos if you missed them. Peace.